Welcome back to the Game Collection. I am SuperDerek, and holy crap, guys, I have E.V.O. Wow, talk about a game that I never thought I'd ever own, let alone be able to review. E.V.O. was one of those games that I came across a long time ago thanks to the help of emulation and a list of RPGs to check out. What I found wasn't so much an RPG that I had been led to believe, but more like, I don't know, maybe an action-packed prehistoric adventure game? Yeah, I'd say that sounds about right. E.V.O. was developed by Almanic Corp, a company that was also behind Cosmic Carnage and later Wonder Project J2, an RPG for the Nintendo 64 that sadly was never released in the US. The game was based on a 1990 PC game entitled 46 Okunen Monogatari Harukanaru Eden. Fortunately for us, Enix picked up the game and decided to localize it for a US release in 1993. While playing through the game, I couldn't help but feel as though there was some sort of connection to Quintet, but I couldn't quite place it. As it turns out, the game was directed by Takashi Yoneda, the director behind Quintet's ActRaiser. Otherwise, the game was developed by a young, relatively inexperienced crew. The story of E.V.O. is somewhat surrealistic, so I'll try to explain my interpretation of it the best that I can. In E.V.O., you play as a spirit of some sort that's trying to earn the favor of Gaia. In order to do this, you must overcome the challenges of 4.6 billion years of natural selection. The objective of the game is to eat other creatures in order to obtain evolution points, which can be spent on upgrades to your creatures such as different types of jaws, tails, horns, etc., which assist in taking down bigger and badder creatures that would otherwise stand in your way. After completing certain events in history, you complete the era and are granted a new body better suited for the next age. I say that you play as a spirit since you seem to be able to transcend bodies of different types of creatures and control creatures over the course of billions and billions of years. The representation of the process of evolution is a bit more symbolic than scientifically accurate, so if you're a stickler for scientific accuracy, this aspect of the game might either be annoying or completely hilarious. Personally though, I found the game to be a little grind heavy. You can easily spend half hour or more just running back and forth slaughtering everything you come across and gorging yourself. Granted, the process of evolving horns or some better teeth takes hundreds of thousands of years or more, and again the game is somewhat symbolic of the process, but it can still feel like it takes forever to build your new creature into a monstrous predator. But you'll really have to put in the work for this one because the boss battles will require it. I mean, the overall difficulty of the game is not all that bad once you find the proper strategy for gnawing on your foes, but the bosses are downright cruel. Rather than having a nice gradual difficulty curve up to the boss, you might find yourself nodding off after hours of grinding easy nourishment 1 minute and having your mutant buns unceremoniously handed to you by a boss creature the next, over and over and over again, each time taking away evolution points, which you could be using to improve yourself instead. It's frustrating to lose, but winning is not impossible with the right strategies. Another high note for E.V.O. is that the game manages to be very attractive. Even when you throw the strangest combinations of traits at the game, the creatures will still look like a cohesive whole animal, which is actually pretty impressive from an artistic and technical standpoint. Beyond just the sprites of the game, all of the backgrounds are really pretty too, heavily using parallax background scrolling to give a good depth of field, as well as offering a variety of locations and environments to explore. The music of E.V.O., on the other hand, is well, it's mostly really, really good, but there are some points that really stood out to me as being substandard. I remember one particular song in the Age of Dinosaurs that was very basic and very repetitive. And since that was a place where I decided to grind, I listened to it a lot longer than anyone should ever have to. But in contrast, music pretty much everywhere else is quite pretty. E.V.O was never ported to any other system or re-released digitally for any modern consoles. Almanic Corp vanished in 1997. As a result, you aren't likely to see any ports or re-releases in the future, so your only real means of playing the game on official hardware is to buy a copy for the Super Nintendo, which, if you're lucky, will cost you less than $200 for a loose copy. I ended up trading quite a few games from my collection in order to get this, and I don't regret it, but for those of you on a budget, I wouldn't think any less of you for playing a ROM of the game instead. E.V.O is a bit of a mutant in and of itself, but it's stood the test of time really well. So, naturally, I've selected this game to be a part of the game collection.
Quintet is a pretty mysterious game development company. It was founded in 1989 by director Masaya Mashimoto and writer Tomoyashi Miyazaki. Quintet is perhaps best known for their work in ActRaiser, which is widely considered one of the best launch titles